Live?
Yep, we are live. Right, good evening and welcome all to this. I was going to say it was a season review, but since Wolves and Seville have just kicked off, we could do it as a watch along into the Wolves-Seville game. We've got Claude. How are you, Claude? From Claude and the Bansters. How are you?
I'm okay, mate. Are you right, Steve? How are you? How's your health?
Yeah, it's doing okay. Just managing as usual and fighting hospitals all the time. So nothing out of the ordinary. And we've got Stan, the man. How are you?
Got no complaints from me, Steve. I'm doing very well, and thank you for inviting me on this evening.
No worries. Thank you for coming. We've got Prime. How are you?
I'm good, Steve. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, no worries. Like I said, I was going to do this as a season review. We can still talk about the season.
We can still do the review and
that's what I was thinking. So should we just start with? We'll start with Prime and Chelsea. How would you sum up your season?
Exactly how I expected it to go.
Yeah.
Can't hear you, mate.
Can't hear you.
Hello?
Can't hear. No, very, very. Can hardly hear you.
Hear me now?
That's better.
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah, you can hear me now,
yeah? Yeah, no.
Okay. Yeah. As I was saying, a lot of Chelsea fans and rival fans and pundits were saying Chelsea wouldn't make top 6 and top 8 and stuff like that. But I believe we would get top 4. The thing is, our squad, people talk about the young players we have, but that's not necessarily the problem. It's due to the inexperience of Frank as a manager. However, I looked at the squad and I knew that we'd have enough to make top 4. And what I wanted was to get out of the Champions League and maybe get to the quarterfinal, depending on what our draw would be, and to get to a cup final. For me, I think we had in terms of what I expected, it's base level. The objectives of Frank, from my personal point of view, it's base level, and he did it. Now, next season, we have to improve on that by closing the gap. I mean, Liverpool got 96 points, that's fine, but we're 30 points behind them. That has to drop by at least half. We need to stop conceding stupid goals and goals from set pieces, and our defensive structure in general has to improve.
So, I think it was Wolves just had a chance, tipped over the bar. Goal kick. Free kick came in. I think keeper had that covered anyway. But yeah, you were saying?
Yeah, for next season, we need to improve on our defensive structure. Stop conceding from set pieces. Start learning how to see games out. Finish the chances that we create. I think we do all that. We close the gap, or by City and Liverpool by 15 points. We get to the Champions League quarter final, maybe, depending on our draw, maybe a semi, and win a cup next season, so we can actually start kicking on and progressing. I think that's, for me, that's the base level of what I expect.
Cool. Just going to add to the stream, my mate, Mr. Fury, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How you guys doing?
Yeah, doing okay. Yeah. So we'll go with Arsenal then. So, Claude, do you want to start?
No, going on about. First of all, I just want to ask the Chelsea guy. Do you think the signings now that you're making now, big signings?
Yeah.
I don't know if you've got Cal, if Havertz is joining you as well, but still you've got some big players coming in in the summer. Do you think that will land a bit more pressure on Frank Lampard? I think the pressure wasn't on him last season because of the ban on the transfers, yeah. But I think now he will have more pressure now because the expectancy level will go up. Do you think it's a different pressure for him in the coming season?
Yeah, absolutely. Even though it'll be his third season and he's inexperienced, you can't spend. There's still more players that we're looking at, but you can't spend as much as we're predicted to spend this summer, and for things not to work at all. Now, yes, when you bring in a lot of players, and there's still rumours of, even if Havertz goes through, that's 3, and there's still rumours of a centre back, a goalkeeper, and a left back. That's 6 players. That's going to affect the chemistry of the squad and going to take time for everyone to gel. But you're in the big leagues now, and even though Frank may be inexperienced, people are going to be like the pundits and everyone else will be on his back. Things start to go wrong. The only hope I have is, we all know what Roman's like. He can sack a manager as quickly as he'll hire them. But because Roman, he may not have been a Chelsea fan when he bought the club, but he is one now. And to bring in someone like Lampard, legend, with no experience, that's not something that has to be something where there has to be some sort of plan behind it. Unless we are in the relegation zone by like January or something, I don't think Frank can get sacked. So I don't think Roman can do that, especially how the fans will react to that. I think we have to see how it plays out. Frank has a 3-year plan, and we have to see that plan through.
Plus, I think it's also the fact that when the first league you won, in 04-05, you went out and spent. And even the year we went invincible, you went and spent.
Yeah.
And obviously, Mourinho got those players together and made it work. You can't do that these days. You've got to take time because now everyone's doing it.
Well, even that, people, like what you said, everyone just seems to think Mourinho came in and we won the league. But people forget that when you guys went unbeaten, we had Ranieri that season and we finished second or third? Second. But we had Ranieri and we were building and transitioning the squad. And then to get a winner in and bring in more players and create this sort of mentality and the effect, I think with Frank, I don't expect him to be the guy to go and win us the Premier League again and a Champions League. But I think he will be the guy to transition the squad to a point where we can go and get a winner to do that. And that's what I'm accepting from my base expectations. Anything beyond that, if he wins us the Premier League or the Champions League, it's exceeding my expectations.
Well, even saying that, I think he's got the potential to.
Yeah, you say potential, but how long do we have to wait? And how long? I
think with the gap, it's going to take a couple of years. It's still going to take a couple of years.
Yeah, no, I know. And I'm okay with that. Personally, I am. But not every fan thinks like I do. And it's so easy for things to switch. Look at with Sarri last season. We went on like a 17 or 18 unbeaten run. We were one of the only teams unbeaten in Europe. We beat Man City and Liverpool. And then in the space of a week, we lost, I think, 4-0 to Bournemouth and then 5-0 to Man City. And things snapped. And fans started getting on his back and it turned toxic and volatile. Now, obviously, Sarri is not on the level Frank is in terms of legendary status, but it's not every fan is 100% behind Frank because they're not looking at it in terms of he's a legend. They're treating him as an actual manager, and you've got to be able to critique. Critique your manager and fairly call out when things are going wrong.
Well, it's just that I think that's the same with Arteta, and I mean, no one's going to say, if you criticize, a lot of people these days think if you criticize a manager, that's it, you're against it, and that's not the case. Right? You're allowed to criticize when things go wrong.
Yeah,
that's how you make things better.
And I think with Arteta, I think the saving grace with him is even though he's he's only in the job 6 months or so. The fact that he was assistant to Pep, I think that is the big saving grace for Arsenal fans.
Just going to say that, Prime. Going to add another Chelsea fan. Wayne, how are you?
Yes, boy.
I'm good, bro.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, no worries.
So
I need a bit of backup.
Yeah. We've got none. I don't think any Arsenal fans got anything to say to Prime at the minute. Right. Yeah, do you want to add anything to what Prime's just said? Wayne?
What was that?
Did you want to add anything to Prime just said?
I don't know. He's fixing himself. I'm just here on the side.
He's the Arteta to my Pep.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll go with.
Wayne, we're in a very dark room now.
Yeah.
It looks like it's being held hostage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm putting him in the basement.
I think you need to put some money in the meter. That's it.
There you go.
Question for the Arsenal fans: How do you guys treat this season? Do you only think about it in terms of what Arteta has done, or do you look at it as a whole?
You have to have a look at it.
I'll let Stan on.
As a whole.
Yes, go on, Stan. Go on, you answer that.
I mean, I'd love to forget about the Emery part of the season. I'd love to pretend it never happened, but I lived through that, and it's not easy to forget that. I was going down the pub every day watching that rubbish before he went. So, I mean, if you want to get a fair balance, and for me, by counting Emery part of the season, it gives you a fairer balance of how much I think Mikel Arteta has achieved in the short period of time or the half of the season.
Sorry, Stan, I've got to interrupt you. Wolves had just had a penalty saved.
Oh, good.
All right. So, yeah, big chance for Wolves got missing there. Go on, Stan, you were saying.
Yeah, I was just saying, by remembering the Emery part of the season, it just, for me, it shows how good Mikel Arteta has done in the short period of time or the half of the season that he's managed. It's a good barometer to make a comparison between Emery and Arteta.
Claude's got a fan.
Yeah, Claude's a goat.
So,
Yes.
Prior to Mr. Fury, how do you evaluate this season?
I evaluate it as a whole. It's not been great at all, but the FA Cup win has been brilliant. I haven't been good at all, but the last one has been good, yeah.
I'll let you. Claude, you go first. How would you sum it up?
FA Cup is a good. I think it's been a poor season. Let's get it right. The FA Cup was a bonus, really. It's a poor season as far as the league is concerned. It was a poor season. I feel we dropped 11 points against Villa, Spurs.
They're coming for you, Wayne. They're coming for you.
Loud.
I thought we could have done better in the league, a lot better in the league. You take those 11 points, we're in the Champions League. These are games we should have won. And disappointed, as far as the league's concerned, disappointed. Europa League, we got done by Olympiacos, which wasn't very good.
It was good for me. It was good for me.
Yeah, all right. How's Bayern?
All right, but at the end of the day, I think the FA Cup's giving us that lift, a little bit of a lift for next season. We need to improve the squad a lot, big time. Hopefully, there'll be a few coming in.
This season's been a wake-up call. I think this season's been a massive wake-up call.
Pressure will be on next season.
I've been building up for years.
the pressure will be on next season though, because next season we expect to do a lot better in the league.
Yeah, I don't want, Claude, is I don't want this FA Cup to paper the cracks like it's done before.
No, that's just what I'm trying to say. I mean, the FA Cup does paper the cracks a bit, but next season he's got a few weeks to sort his squad out. Planned to October now, which I'm not a big fan of, because I think that your squad's should be sorted out before the season starts, as far as I'm concerned. You're going to have a lot of unsettled players wanting to move still, and it's not an ideal situation. But next season, he's got to really go for it. He's got to show us that we have got a big improvement in the squad and in the team altogether. But top 4 is a minimum for me next season. Minimum.
Yeah. Just going to say, anyone in the chat, there's the link. If you want to come on and have your say about your club and how their season's been, click on the link and join us. We're also live on Facebook and Twitch, which is the first time I've done that. So here we go. It is different. Let's say there's been a lot of young. What I'm impressed with this season is the young talent of this season. There's been a lot of young talent that's broken through with Chelsea and Arsenal, as well as Man U and others. So, who's impressed? The young talent. Who's impressed you the most?
Who's this for?
In terms of the young talent this season, and their breakthrough season, who's impressed you the most?
Who's this for? Who's the question for?
Everyone. We'll start with you, Claude.
Bukayo Saka. I've been very impressed with him. He's had a really good season. Hopefully he'll develop even more. He's still only 19. I think he's still 19 years old, so there's still a lot of things to improve on. Martinelli, I think, has done, but he's now got an injury. I don't know how long he's going to be out for. He was impressive until he got injured. Who else is there? I thought Reece Nelson was in and out, but still is a lot of work. Still a bit of work to be done there. Maybe a loan needed for him to get a bit more first team football. And other than that, I thought Joe Willock had his moments. Maybe he needs to go out on loan as well, I think. I just seen the save by the...
Any opposition youngsters that impressed you? Any opposition youngsters that impressed you?
Oh, from Chelsea, you've got Mason Mount.
Or just opposition in general?
Oh, no, I'm just saying I've seen Mason Mount's looked a good thing. Who's the other guy? One from Greenwood from Man United. The other guy at Man United I think is good. I think has been impressing me is the guy called Williams. He's a young player. He's got a good future, and that's about it. I think.
Max Aarons.
Max Aarons, yeah, but he was in the struggling side. It's hard to judge.
It's hard to judge, but you can see at times his talent. And same with Jamal Lewis as well.
Yeah.
Hence why he's got interest from he had interest from Liverpool.
Yeah, I think they've gone the other way now. They bought the Olympiacos defender instead.
No, that's
not bad. But I mean, I don't know what the other boys think. I mean, these are the players I would have picked out for me.
Yes, Wayne, what do you think in your perspective?
Well, I think Reece James, Mason Mount, maybe Billy Gilmore, but obviously he got that injury. Like, was it after the FA Cup prime, or was it?
He got injured post the lockdown. Something sort of stuff.
He was doing good. I think he was playing in the Leicester quarterfinal. Then like Lampard subbed him off because he wasn't doing that well. But I did show signs of improvements in that Liverpool game. But we have to see if he will continue that form in the new season, or if he's still going to be fit. But also, I would give for Arsenal, I'd say Martinelli. Like I was impressed.
Before you say that, Lee Chappie just said, "Hi Stephen, hands are full tonight. Can't make the stream, but have a great show." That's not a problem. And plus, anyone in the comments, you can see down below YouTube. There's also a link to the CLDF channel. Give them a follow, and you can check out all sorts of stories and other sort of tips and about liver disease and as well. So, but yeah, Wayne, you were saying.
Yeah, Martinelli. I was impressed with him. Like, he's like a young Brazilian youngster. Like every Brazilian has their talents, but I'm pretty sure Martinelli is gonna like shine. Like he's gonna be in that Brazilian squad in the next year or two. That goal against Chelsea, I know that Kante did fumble a bit on the ball, but like it was good for him to counter on, because obviously you want that sort of player to like get that.
He saw the opportunity and took it.
Yeah. I mean, like, I wasn't happy that he did, but what can you do? Like, he took his chances like Pulisic did with that. What's his name? Is that Benjamin?
What impresses me, and I even get this with like Phil Foden and Greenwood and players like this, is that they're playing with no fear. They've got nothing. In a sense, they've got nothing to lose, right, and everything to gain, right. They know if they don't shine, they're not going to get the spot anyway. So they just play with no fear to them and just play their natural game.
It's that's why I'm always interested in when I see young players that are talented. I like to see them. Not that I want them to, but I like it when they go through a rough patch. I like to see that because I like to see how they're able to fight through the adversity and whatever. May it be from pundits or the fans, or maybe even opposition players themselves, when they seem, teams seem to have figured out their game. I like to see how they push through that and they grow and develop.
Got Auntie Herbert in the chat. Hi guys, hi lads. Hope you're all well. And we also got Connor from the Mance as well. How are you, mate? I hope you're good. But yeah, I just hope there's no pressure on these players to improve next season. Obviously, you want them to improve, but not too much pressure. Just let them grow. So here we go. Mr. Fury's back. How are you? Can't see you, mate.
Okay, nice to you. Yourself?
Yeah, I can't see you.
Okay, how you doing?
Yeah, we're just talking about the young talent, mate.
I think Martinelli, Tierney, Saka. From Chelsea, I'll say what's that guy? Rich James. And who got the sold the guy? That guy, right back. Sold him to Brighton.
Lampard. Very Lampard.
Yes. I'm Lamptey, and also Mason Mount as well.
So 25 minutes in, Wolves-Seville still 0-0. Doesn't seem much between the sides at the minute.
Yeah.
So who do you think will come out on top next season?
terms of
Where?
We'll go, yeah, we'll go. No, we'll just go for like the sort of who do you think is going to get top 4 this season? Next season, sorry. We'll start with Stan.
I'll be totally honest with you. I mean, I'd rather go back to answer your previous question because I'll be honest with you. I haven't got a clue who's going to make the top 4 next season because I've no idea how football's going to be delivered to us. You know, if there's going to be crowds, is it going to be like Project Restart? But I'd like to go back and touch on what you said about, you know, some of the younger players that people were talking about. And from an Arsenal standpoint, for me, when I look at a player like Gabriel Martinelli or Bukayo Saka, I get the same feeling as I did when I saw like a young Rooney emerge or a young Cristiano Ronaldo. You know, players like that, when you see them that they're young and you can immediately see that they're going to be an exciting prospect. I don't see that with any of the others at Arsenal, whether it's Reece Nelson, Willock, Eddie Nketiah. And I would say that for me, it could go either way with those players. They could either sink or they could swim. I don't look at any of them and think, you know, they're going to be fantastic prospects. A lot of them don't even really convince me. And I think that if
you just brought us to another person that actually is at Chelsea, who's I think really disappointed, which is Hudson-Odoi.
Yeah. He's similar. I won that. There were lots of hopes for, right? A name that you heard getting mentioned quite a lot, but he hasn't really set the world alight. And if you make a comparison with some of the names that we've mentioned, the Hudson-Odois, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, some of the other youngsters at Arsenal, Willock, and then you stand them up against a Saka and a Martinelli, for me, there's a big gulf in what I see, a very big gulf.
Yeah, that makes perfect. Absolutely. Totally agree. So, yeah, moving on to top 4. Who do you, we'll go with you, Stan. Who do you think will come out on top next season in terms of the top 4? And
see, when it comes to Arsenal, you know, and when it comes to Arsenal, and if I'm being asked if I think that Arsenal are going to make it into the top 4, it's really hard to say. If we've got the current personnel that we have now, then no. You know, we may be lucky again to come out with a cup if we can traverse through a cup competition. But if we can do what we all know that needs to be done in this transfer window, then there's a very good chance that we could be a part of that big 4. Because by hook or by crook, it's imperative that Arsenal gets back into the Champions League because we're a self-sustaining model. We don't have, you know,
I'm going to ban those words from this channel. I'm going to ban.
You know, we don't have the sugar daddy syndrome that some of our other esteemed guests on this panel have with their football club. We don't have a Roman Abramovich who's going to, you know, put his hand in the pocket on a rainy day. It's all down.
Yeah, we do, but we just don't. He doesn't put his hands in the pocket.
Yeah, no, I think
we've got the same. We've got the equivalent to a billionaire, right? Who's got a partner who's just
got more money.
And yet he can't be asked to come over and sort the problem out.
But yeah,
and
but
that's the thing.
That's due to the fact that I don't mean it to sound rude, but he doesn't care. Because with Roman,
no, I don't care at all.
He's grown. Roman has grown to love the club, and he is a fan of the club now. That's why he cares and he's willing to put in the money for the club to be successful. But I don't know what it is with Frankie. He just seems to use Arsenal as sort of a cash cow, and I think if you guys truly love your club, I think you're going to have to do something drastic to protest and to get him out.
Well, put it this way, Prime. What I can see with what he did when he bit everyone went like was questioned. Everyone questioned when he paid off the debts of the stadium, right? Paid off all the debts of the club. So, but no one went, yeah, absolutely brilliant. That means we've got no debt-free assets. We can go do what we want. Everyone looked at it like, is that just to benefit his own end? Because now I have an asset that's not debt-free. I can use it to get whatever.
Yeah, we still owe money. We just don't owe money to the banks. We now owe money to KC, to him, his own organisation.
Yeah.
And I just like to say as well,
You can take a loan out saying, look, I've got Arsenal here, that's a debt-free asset. You can leverage it on that.
I mean, I'd like to ask the Chelsea guys a question as well, because I don't get a chance to speak to many guys from Chelsea. I mean, they call our owner Silent Stan. But I mean, I've never, in my lifetime, I don't remember hearing Roman Abramovich ever speak. And I'd love him to be our owner because he takes it seriously. But just out of interest, I mean, they call our guy Silent Stan. Have you ever, as a Chelsea fan, have you ever heard Roman Abramovich make a statement? Have you ever heard him speak? Because I seriously don't ever remember hearing him actually speak. I don't know what his voice sounds like. I mean, I don't really, I suppose as Chelsea fans, you don't really care, right? Because he's doing what needs to be done. But I was just curious.
Well, it's not, I haven't really heard him speak, but it's not like he's not here and doesn't care. I mean, the last few years, I'd say 3, 4, maybe 5 years, he hasn't been around as much, but that's due to like political problems with England and Russia and whatever. So he hasn't really been allowed in the country. But before that, and even now, he's usually going to games, and you can see him in the executive box and everything, and he's there with his his wife and his children and everything. So he's integrated in the club, in the culture. And just because he doesn't speak doesn't mean you don't feel his presence around.
Just Joey and big up Claude. Do you think Lee Gunner looks like Joe Root? I've never actually noticed.
Someone said
Urban Ghost, Roman talks with his wallet. Yeah, that's true, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's not like when rival fans insult Chelsea, like, "Oh, we've got a sugar daddy." Yeah, but like, wouldn't most clubs in the world want a sugar daddy? Someone
I'm not complaining. Yeah. I'm not complaining at all. I'd love a sugar daddy.
We won the Champions League. I wouldn't be complaining at all.
I keep hearing this argument, but let's get this into perspective here. Arsenal has spent in the last 5 years. The last 5 years have spent virtually the same amount of money as Liverpool.
Yes.
And look at where Liverpool are. So I can't buy into this. It's not just about spending; it's about where you spend it.
Yeah.
As I say, you can spend 70 million on a player and it could be absolutely useless, and you can spend 25 million on a player and be fantastic. Look at Chelsea. Let's put an example. How much did Chelsea spend for that goalkeeper?
70 million.
70 million.
70 million.
Where is he now?
20 million.
He's going to be gone.
Yeah.
Exactly. 70 million they spent for him.
72, yeah.
It's not always about spending. Sometimes you've got to spend. It's spending it correctly. Even Leicester City has spent less money than Arsenal, and they finished above us this season.
Yeah,
because they're broader full of football people, and they're not full of bankers and.
Yeah, but even that, no disrespect to Leicester because they have won the Premier League, but it's easier to buy someone like an Ndidi from Ghent, who wasn't. Yeah, sure, he was talented, but he wasn't well renowned, and have him grow and develop to a world-class DM that he is now, or to bring in a Madison from the Championship and play him for 2 seasons and grow into the Premier League player that he is now. A team like Man United bought Dan James, for example, in the Championship Swansea, and brought him in the season, and he was criticised and ridiculed from Man United fans and rival fans. If he was brought into, for example, Leicester, and he was being allowed to grow and develop, no one would be criticising Dan James. But because you're at a bigger club, it's going to be more of a spotlight on you. I think that's the big difference. That's why, Chelsea get it wrong as well with transfers. But more often than not, we get it right because of, I don't know, whether it be the recruitment or the mentality of the club or the managers, but we get it right more often.
Yeah, but look, indeed, right? For you to say indeed and all these players, that's good scouting. That's brilliant scouting. Sometimes you don't go. You can proper scouting. That's proper scouting.
Yeah, it is.
Look at Leicester. Look at Leicester. Yeah. They picked up Kenta before Chelsea knew about him. Won the title when he went to Chelsea.
look, for example, with Guendouzi, if he was at like a Leicester for the 2 years he's been at Arsenal, people would be looking at him as a better player, and I don't think he'd have this attitude problem.
Well, I don't
But because
know.
because he was at Arsenal and he had a few good performances against City and Liverpool, and people started hyping him up to be this kid, talented kid and everything, and now he's going to be gone more like.
Yeah, but he's got an attitude problem, hasn't he? So
Yeah, no, but
that's a completely different thing. Yeah, I know what you're saying, but no, it just you can all the money you can throw out if you don't spend it properly. You don't spend it properly, you've had it. You've had it. I mean, you could spend loads of money, and Man United as well. I mean, they spent a lot of money as well. And it's not, I mean, they've got in the top 4 this year. Well, I mean, yeah, but they're expected to, Man United are expected to challenge for titles.
If you look at it from sort of, say, maybe lower down the league sort of issue, say, you compare Sheffield United to Aston Villa, they've both come up. Aston Villa has spent pretty much on a new squad. Sheffield United have only spent in sort of key areas, and look where Sheffield United have finished, and Aston Villa have only just managed to survive relegation.
Yeah,
which is another perfect example.
Yeah, but Sheffield United have this culture and philosophy from Chris Wilder. Aston Villa don't have a good manager, and they also don't have a good squad. Sheffield United do. Even though you might not rate all of their players, it's still a good squad that's willing to work hard and fight for it.
Just go drop out for a minute because I've got to have my injection. So just carry this on.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with what Claude was saying. I mean, a lot of Arsenal fans, they act like Arsenal are walking around like Oliver Twist with a begging bowl, constantly asking if there's any more porridge to eat. But we've had money to spend. We have had money to spend. I mean, last window we invested 72 million in the player. You know, all right, we didn't pay it all out in one go, but that's still a commitment to make the investment. We spent, 72 million odd pounds, and we shared that between Squadron, Mustafi, and Xhaka. That's an example there of really bad spending. You know, Liverpool and Chelsea would never spend that amount in such a poor way. That's where we've bitten ourselves in the arse. You know, it's almost like Man United are the same. It's like you have to buy 3 players and one of them will come good. The other 2 will end up being quite mediocre. But at this level, you can't afford to do that. All 3 of them have to come good.
Yeah, I totally agree. So, ow.
I just feel it's not just about spending. I mean, it's not just about how much you spend. It's recruitment, the whole recruitment, the way you set your academy up as well. I mean, the academy at Arsenal at the moment is shocking. I don't think there's not one centre half coming through at Arsenal at the moment.
Exactly.
What about
you look at Chelsea, and they've won the Youth Cup for about the last 3 years, haven't they? And all the youth players that
they've got an amazing youth system, yeah.
And suddenly you're starting to see them more because of the transfer ban. You're starting to see more of them, and they're not being just loaned out. So, yeah.
Danny says Sheffield United also have one of the best goalkeepers in the league last season.
Yeah.
No wonder that there's.
He played from Manu and played from Manu. That's why.
He's well known for Man U, and no wonder people are asking him to come back and be number 1 goalkeeper.
Yeah.
I think the guy has not been performing, has he? So
I think it's too early to bring back Dean Henderson and throw him in as number 1. Because like I was saying, it's easier to remember that mistake he made against Liverpool, Henderson.
Yeah, and look at the character.
And the manager called it. Yeah, but the manager called it out. It wasn't the pundits or anyone else. The manager called it out in the press conference or the post-match conference, and then he learned from that. But he didn't get ridiculed or memed online by the fans or anyone. If he's doing
You know
that,
what? When he first called it Prime, when he first called that out, I thought he was being really harsh, right? For calling it out in the public. But the way he reacted to it is credit to Chris Wilder, to be honest.
it is. But look
And
at
his
Harry Maguire, for
management.
example, right? The way everyone is criticizing him and on his back, in my opinion, he's been better this season than he was at Leicester. But yet people are trying to pick apart every little mistake that he does. It's harder when you're at a top club because any little thing that is going to be scrutinized. And I think Henderson needs another loan at Sheffield to just make, because you take him to United next season and say he doesn't have as good of a season, people are going to be on his back.
Yeah.
So just let him have time to develop a bit more.
Because at a top club, you expect him not to make mistakes.
Look, people make mistakes, but it's the fact that at a big club, anything you do is going to be scrutinized and put under the microscope. And, like, for example, like that mistake he made against Liverpool, Chris Wilder is the one who called it out and talked about it and said, if you want to play for Man United, you can't be making mistakes like that. But if he's at United and he makes a mistake against Arsenal or Chelsea or whoever, everyone on social media, all the fans, all the rival fans, everyone's going to be looking at that. And it's just one of those things. And I think...
Which winds me up in a way, because the fan bases are so
fickle.
These days are so reactionary. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like,
but that's football. That's football in general, though.
True.
I mean, for example, when you guys came back post lockdown and you lost to Man City and 2 other teams, and people were like, "Oh, Arteta is this. He's not the real deal. He's just Pep's assistant or whatever." And then you guys go on a good run near the end of the season, and you win the FA Cup, and now the narrative changes. So that's football in general. One bad result or one good result change everything.
True.
I do hear what you're saying about fans being very reactionary. I mean, just looking at it as under an Arsenal perspective, Bernd Leno's been with us now for a couple of seasons, and in my mind, in a couple of seasons, he's been a fantastic goalkeeper. You know, for the money that we paid for him, I felt it was one of the best transfer deals that Arsenal's done in a long time. But he gets injured, and we see a snapshot of our backup goalkeeper for 10 games, and that everybody wants Martinez to be our #1 goalkeeper. Just because they've seen a snapshot of 10 games, they've forgotten about all of the work that Bernd Leno's done, and we should be keeping Martinez now and selling Leno. For me, that is very, very reactionary, you know?
Of course.
Also,
for me, I would say is that Leno's #1, but I don't think he should be just walking straight back in the team, given the Martinez performances.
For me, Steve, I don't think that Arsenal even I don't think that we've had an opportunity
Just by the way, Danny was going to say, give him another year at Sheffield United playing week in, week out will be better for England, and certainly England #1 ahead. That's Dean Henderson.
Yeah, he's possible.
You were saying.
Stan was saying there. I get where you're coming from, Stan, but I see things in Martinez, right? He seems to have that control where I don't see in Leno with his command of his box. And I think it'd be very difficult now to drop him. Very difficult.
See, my thinking is with our goalkeeper situation, both Leno and both Martinez have looked really good in an Arsenal goal, but I just feel that they've looked really good because in front of them, they've had basically a rubbish defence, and in front of that rubbish defence, there's been a rubbish midfield. So both goalkeepers spend 90 minutes constantly switched on because there's a lot of saves to be made. So they're constantly on their toes and they're awake. I think that once we get a better defence and a better midfield, and we have a situation where maybe the goalkeeper's only tested twice, maybe 3 times during a game, that's when you will find out how good Bernd Leno is, or indeed how good Martinez is. We've never had one of those 2 goalkeepers working under those 2 conditions where they've got to be able to switch on when the moment takes them 2 or 3 times in a match, as opposed to being constantly bombarded with shots.
And that's the one criticism or one of the criticisms that I have of Leno, because it's easy for a goalkeeper to look good when they're constantly having to make saves. But how good is he going to be if he's playing in front of a defense or in a team where he's, for maybe 80 minutes in a game, he doesn't have to do anything, but he's going to have one or two shots where he's going to have to be switched on. And can he be switched on constantly for a full game without having to do anything? I don't know.
And we've not seen that yet at Arsenal. So I just worry that, again, people have been too reactionary with Martinez, because he's been our backup keeper now for 10 years. And during that 10 years, we've gone through so many first goalkeepers. You know, this guy's not good enough anymore. We need to find another one. This one's no good now. We need to find another one. And at no point, no one's turned around and said, what about Emery? Emery looks really good in training. He should be our number one. It looks like only because of injury, we found him by that circumstance. I'm just concerned that if we were to sell Leno, for example, and we keep Martinez, after a period of time, he would then revert back to being why he's been our number two goalkeeper for so long and not a number one. And I just think it plays into what you were saying a little bit earlier about fans being very fickle and very reactionary, depending on what's happening within the moment.
Steve, sorry, mate. I'm just because my dad's not very well at the moment, and I'm getting phone calls from him. I'm going to have to come off. I'm going to have to come off.
That's all right.
I do really apologise for this, mate.
Claude, that's not a problem. I totally understand.
I'll do. Take care, everyone. I'm sorry about this. I've got to come off.
Don't worry about it.
Hopefully, I'll be on your channel this week. So,
all right, mate. Take care.
Take care.
We hope your father improves soon, Claude.
Yeah, wish him the best.
There's a couple of calls coming from him, and I just better call. It might be nothing, but I better just go.
Take care of it, mate.
Well, if it's nothing, get back on it.
Awesome.
All right. Wish him all the best. But yeah, I also think that if the way that Martinez has been playing, why some teams haven't looked at him or even considered him as a way of bringing him out of Arsenal. I mean, Chelsea with their keeper situation.
That's the thing. If Martinez was truly this good, he wouldn't still be at Arsenal.
True.
I also feel as well, I mean, we're constantly being told at Arsenal that we're a self-sustaining model. That it doesn't make any sense that we've spent, something like 22.5 million on Burnt Leno. Why would we then sell him 2 seasons later for maybe 30 million euros? Surely, if you're a self-sustaining model, the way to go would be to sell the one that has cost you nothing, which is Emery Martinez. He's been in our books for 10 years. He's managed to put himself in the shop window. Other teams are looking at him. Now's the time to sell him for 35 million euros and get that in as profit.
That's a lot, but you're not going to get that because that's a lot of money.
Well, how much do you reckon we'd get for him then? 20 million? I'll take that.
15, 20?
11.
I'll take it. It's profit, right? It's all profit.
Yeah, but it's not. Is it really?
Well, we can't keep them both, right? Because goalkeeper, he's already said that he doesn't want to be a number 2 goalkeeper anymore. And there's no point in selling Leno. How much would we get for Leno? We wouldn't get much more than what we already paid for him.
How much did you pay for him?
About 22.5.
Yeah, you probably get 35 then for Leno.
I don't think we'd get as much as 35, maybe 30. It just wouldn't make, for me, that's not good business. If you're supposed to be a self-sustaining model, then you sell the guy that's cost nothing, who's in the shop window now, and you can make some money on. The gamble is that you sell him, he goes away, and then he's a superstar at the next place he goes to. But that's the gamble that you have to take. I just don't think that with the way that Arsenal is at the moment, we're not a team that can afford to have 2 really goalkeepers fighting it out. We're not in that position yet. A Liverpool may be, a Man City may be. You know, those clubs are in a position where they could afford to do that, but we can't. We need to bring money in, and that money then needs to be reinvested into parts of our team so that we can continually get back into the top 4. What's the point of having 2 good goalkeepers and not enough money to shore up the defence or defensive midfield, and we still end up, what, 6th or 7th or 8th next season.
Stan, you know us. You say that we're not selling Martinez, and then Leno gets injured in the first game.
There's always that as well. There's always that as well.
You know that's us. You know that's Arsenal.
Matt Macy should be the number 2. He should be our number 2.
I thought he made it clear he didn't want to be.
Sorry?
I thought he made it clear he didn't want to be.
Well, he ain't got no choice, has he? He's the youngest one, do you know? There's also Iliev as well. Or you go out and you buy a goalkeeper that's coming to the end of their career, where they're going to be happy to get cup games. You know, someone who's coming towards the twilight of their career. I just don't think that we're in a position to have 2 number 1 goalkeepers duking it out right now when we don't have money to reinvest into the parts of the team that everybody can see needs reinvesting in. And if those places aren't reinvested in, we're going to be scrabbling around to try and maybe have another Europa League place next season.
Yeah. So 3 teams that are coming up is Fulham, West Brom, Leeds. What do you expect from them next season? Or do you expect all 3 of them to go down?
From Leeds, it's okay. For Leeds, they could either have an amazing season and finish off like 8, or they'll get relegated. Because I think with Leeds, it's clear that they need a goal scorer, because Bamford works in Bielsa's system, but he's not a goal scoring striker. They need a better goalkeeper, and they need a few more Premier League experienced players within that squad. If they can do that, then they'll have.
Yeah, just by the way, is 0-0 at half time. Obviously, just showing the penalty save by Wolves, but still 0-0. But yeah. Stan, what do you expect from any of those 3?
I have to be honest with you, and I know very little about what West Bromwich Albion have been doing in the below us, and the same with Fulham as well. I only knew a little bit about when obviously Callum Chambers was on loan there, so I used to see a little bit of what Fulham was up to. But with Leeds, you got to think that, you know, Leeds as a club, they must have been looking at what Sheffield have done this season in the Premier League, and must be looking at, you know, how they can emulate that. And Leeds are by far a much bigger club as well, with maybe a little bit more resources. They've got a huge fan base, and I think the manager that they've got in Bielsa, he seems like a really smart cookie to me. So I think that if one team is going to definitely maybe stay up, I don't know where they're going to finish, but can still remain in the Premiership, I think this could be an opportunity now for Leeds to start making regular appearances back into the Premier League.
Yeah, I think it's really good that Leeds are back in the Premier League. Big club like them with a lot of history. And yeah, I mean, we played them in the FA Cup, and if it were, and we didn't go in that, I think when we won it, I think we were 1-0 down at half time, were we?
Yeah.
Yeah. If it weren't for getting in at half time only at 1-0, we would have been out of the competition.
And that's my point with Leeds. I'm saying they don't have a goal scorer.
Yeah. Wayne, what do you think out of the 3 that coming up?
With Leeds, I think they're hoping that they're gonna do well like they did in the Championship. But it will be hard because I see West Brom doing quite well because they've got that youngster Matis Pereira. He's a quite young Brazilian, sort of like a Willian, but he plays for more attacking midfield. But for Fulham, I don't think they would stay up. Like, they're the shitter club in Fulham, so I don't think they'll stay up.
Well, I saw I did the watch along with Claude and the Bamsters on I think it was Brentford versus Fulham playoff final, and that was just, I mean, we had more interesting conversations, debate about the football, talk about what's going on. I mean, it was just appalling, to be honest. So I struggle to see Fulham staying up. I'm not sure about West Brom because I haven't really looked at them this season. But yeah, Fulham, from what I saw from that performance in the playoff final, I'd struggle to see them staying up. Which is a shame because I used to see Fulham as when I was younger, regularly in the Premier League. So, yeah, I'm surprised. Surprised actually, Wolves aren't ahead, to be honest, because they've been a bit more dominant.
Well, it's one of those things. It's a competition. You know, it's not Champions League, Europa League. It's normally 2 legs, but this is a competition now, and you've got to be careful how you go with it.
I said to Claude before the show, I said the only time we wanted a European competition and with just 1 leg. We only do well. We're only on a one-off game.
Do you guys think you could have won it if you got through against Olympiacos? You could have won it because Inter
like this probably because on a one-off game. I mean, we've proved it many times in the FA Cup. I mean, on a one-off game that anything can happen.
This is Europe, though.
I still struggle to see us with the squad we have to win it. Yeah, it's a shame. So, I just want to touch about the Sancho deal because the Sancho deal, because I think everyone's getting stressed over it.
No, not me.
No.
Well,
I mean, it's gonna happen. I mean, I don't see why everyone's getting the hump about it. It's gonna happen at some point.
What is the price for Sancho? What do they want for him?
101 million.
Yeah, like 120 or something like that.
120 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not even just that. It's about the add-on clauses. I think with United and Dortmund, they differ in the valuation of add-on.
I think in total they want 120 million, but they don't mind paying that in sort of add-ons but the total in being it would be 120 odd million. But I did this whole hype about it. I think that most of the transfer these days, half of it is just a lot of crap, and you end up just don't worry about it until literally it's on the dotted line. I don't worry about it, especially on an Arsenal's case. I don't worry about it until he's actually signed on the piece of paper.
Yeah, but you know what? Like I said, the fans are reactionary. You know what it's like.
And is what's something about the Havertz deal, Prime?
Nothing. It's just.
It just needs to be confirmed.
Yeah, basically that's what it is. Chelsea didn't want Leverkusen to play in the Europa, but Leverkusen wanted them to play, and well, they're knocked out now. So I think in the next week or so, you'll see things being completed because we've agreed on personal terms with him. So it's just agreeing on the valuation.
Stan, what do you think about sort of Arsenal sort of transfer business at the minute? Are you confident on anyone coming in?
It's kind of like it's probably easier and quicker to draw up a list of players that Arsenal aren't linked with. Probably be easier to do that, right? Because it just seems that if they can kick a ball and they breathe oxygen, then they get linked with Arsenal. So I mean, the Thomas Partey one, right? That's going to go one of two ways, right? He's either going to become our new Julian Draxler, where every year he's going to get mentioned with us, and then he won't come to us until he's like 38. Or it's going to be like a Kieran Tierney situation where We keep going back, offering them an extra £5. They keep telling us that they want the full 45. Then we keep going back with an extra £5. They tell us no, we've got to go, they want 45, and it's going to get drawn out until the last second, and he'll become an Arsenal player. Because that's usually how it works. Or something really weird will happen is that we probably won't get Thomas Partey, and we'll end up buying that young winger from Sporting Lisbon that they keep talking about, even though that we don't need any more wingers. We get another winger, and we just change our name to Winger FC.
What, the 40 mil winger that's like 18, 19 years old?
Yeah, that story I saw again this morning. I saw this morning that Arsenal had, what did they say? They had a bid turned down. I don't even believe they've made a bid, but you never know, right? This is Arsenal. I mean, I wasn't expecting Nicolas Pepe to turn up for £72 million. You know, I don't think Unai Emery was even expecting that. I think he woke up one morning, opened his curtains, and Nicolas Pepe was standing outside waving at him. I mean,
it's funny that Emery, he wanted Zaha.
Yeah.
And I think he wanted Partey, and now those are players you're going for. Same with Jose at United. He wanted Maguire, and now they've bought Harry Maguire. So it's funny how things like that work.
I mean, Unai Emery, he went and had his meeting, he had his little dossier with him. He said, right, I've identified a player. I've spoken to the player. The player wants to come. He's a left winger at Crystal Palace called Wilfried Zaha. And the board went, yeah, okay. And he woke up the next morning and they sent him Nicolas Pepe, who plays on the opposite wing. So this is what worries me moving forward about Arsenal. And I said this on another podcast. I'd really love to know what the deal is with Mikel Arteta, what he's agreed to. Has he agreed to train whoever's given to him? So they go out and buy players, they give them to him, he trains them and puts them in the system. And if they see one of our younger players that they believe they can make money on, will they just take him away from the team and sell him? Or does Mikel Arteta get a say? Does he actually get a say to say, no, I want to keep this player moving forward? Or, yeah, I want to sell this player, or we should be buying this player? Because I find it hard to believe that, you know, Mikel Arteta is being described as this young whippersnapper of a manager, the future style of what managers will be. And I just find it very hard to believe that he knocked on the door of Raul Signelli's office, marched in there and said, next season, David Luiz must be an Arsenal player. I must have him for another year. And while you're at it, go out and sign Willian, who's 32, for another 3 years, please. I just I have a hard time believing that he done that. And if he did do that, it concerns me. If it's a case that, you know, Raul Signelli walked up to Mikel Arteta and said, oh, by the way, David Luiz is going to be an Arsenal player again next season. Oh, and we're bringing you Willian. Then that also concerns me as well, because I don't think that Raul Signelli has the experience to maybe making them kind of decisions when it comes to on the pitch.
But why? I don't think it should. I think, for example, you guys don't have the money like Chelsea or United or City to splash 200 in the window. I think keeping David Luiz, considering the fact that as it stands, like this season, I think, yes, he's made mistakes, but I think overall he is your best centre back. I think if you guys don't, but hear me out, if you guys are not that defensively strong and you're not going to go out and buy centre backs, I think Arteta will stick to the three, and David Luiz is your best option in terms of playing at the back. I think Saliba will come in and probably play on that right hand side. Depending on not if you guys get what's his name, Gabriel, I think he might come in the three, and Tierney can go wing back. If not, then Tierney will stay in the three, and Saka can play wing back. I think what Arteta is doing is he's going to work with what he has, and he's going to slowly build and evolve, because it's not like he can spend 200 in the window.
I just think that moving forward, there is no way on God's green earth that Mikel Arteta wants to continue with a 5 at the back, 3 central. There's no way he wants to continue playing football where the ball gets passed out to your left back and then you hoof it up to Aubameyang, totally missing out the midfield. He's only playing that way because, as you say, that's all we've got. You know, he's playing to the strengths of the players that we have. But there's no way that he wants to play 4 at the back. And David Luiz in a 4 is not going to work because he's rubbish in a 4. Yeah, the further away he is away from the goal, he should be playing as a defensive midfielder, because at least he can't give away penalties because he's further away from the goal, right? I'd play him as a striker, even further away from the goal.
But that's the thing. you have to work with what you have.
I know, but I mean, if you're going to work with what we have, would we not just keep David Luiz until the end of this season and then get rid of him? I would rather play someone like a Daniel Ballard or a Zach Medley from our reserves continuing next season than pay David Luiz what he's being paid to play for another season. How many penalties did he give away for Arsenal? It's a record. He's created a new record in the Premier League.
Right. That's not all. I've watched a lot of those games. That's not all his fault.
He's rubbish.
No, it's not, because a lot of it is down to Arsenal and how you guys defend.
No, he's not good enough to play for Arsenal. I'm sorry. I know that maybe you're wearing your Chelsea hat and you may have seen him do a lot of good things for you.
I'm not saying he should be there for the next 2 or 3 years. I'm saying Arteta kind of has to work with what he has, because you're linked to Gabriel, but there's no guarantee you'll get them. He has to work with what he has and allow him to go and build and transition. The same what Klopp did. He didn't have the money to spend at the start. We had to grow.
I understand. I do hear what you're saying, but I don't want a young William Saliba to come into our Arsenal team and to start learning his defensive trade. Someone like David Luiz. I don't want that. I don't want him picking up them habits from David Luiz. I don't want him learning from Mustafi either or Socrates. But I know that he's a young kid and he has to have some kind of a mentor around him. I mean, you talk about this Gabriel. This is so Arsenal. We're scrabbling around trying to find £27 million for Gabriel when you've got Mangala Sarr, who's also a left-footed centre-back, French, a good age. He's available for free. That should be in the bag and done. That should have been done. If we're that poor and we're trying to outsmart the market, which is what we're told by our general manager, that's the deal that we should be making.
Yeah, but considering the fact that he's a free, so his what's it called? His signing on fee and stuff like that, it's going to be astronomical. So
but it's not going to be as much as it would be to pay for someone like a Gabriel. Do you know what I mean? I heard that.
Gabriel.
Sorry, mate. I didn't quite.
Maybe it is. Well, I don't know. Maybe it would be just as much. So maybe it's wiser to go for a Gabriel.
It just sounds like sometimes with Arsenal, it's a lot of pie in the sky. You know, we're not going to get that young kid from Portugal. We ain't got the money to get him. You know, a lot of these people that we're linked with, they're not coming. We're not going to get Upamecano. You know, I'm a little bit worried about Thomas Partey. I think we have a chance of getting Thomas Partey because we're going to be selling some people. So we should have enough change. If you all count it up together, we should have enough to go there with his release clause. But other than that, pardon?
45.
I think it's something like £45 million, 50 million euros, around there. And I think that we may be able to scrape that up if we can sell. I mean, there's no way we're going to get 40 million from Guendouzi. That's a joke. Who's going to pay you 40 million for him? He's not worth 40 million. You know, he's a young kid who's just burst onto the scene. It's not going to happen. But we should be able to scrape up that money somehow for Partey. But yeah, I'm not a big David Luiz fan, and I don't understand why we made that deal for a second year. There are other things that we could have done, in my eyes. There's other things and better things that we could have done.
What's worse about that signing the contract was the timing. He had just made those mistakes against Man City, and then we get the news next day he's signing a new deal.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, how do you? I mean, talk about reactionary fan base. Right, any way to piss us off.
And in the way he came in as well. I mean, the way he came in. I mean, do you remember Rouse? It was right near the end of the window, and Rouse Elliott was like, "We're not done yet. I'm just going to go off, and when I come back, I'll have Upamecano with me." That's what he said. I'm going to go off now. I'm coming back with Upamecano. He came back with David Luiz, and I was like, "No, that's not what you said you were doing. That's not good at all." But again,
this is the same board that says they've changed.
Sorry, mate.
You say this is the same board. This is the same board that says we're changing. We're not doing the same as the previous regime. Well, why has Aubameyang got a year left on his contract? You said you'd do it after 2, right?
Because
they don't believe anything they say.
We sold Jeffrey Adelaide to Angers for like £1.2 million. 8 months later, they're selling him on to another club in France for £22.5 million. There's no way Chelsea would let themselves get their pants pulled down like that, or Liverpool, or Man United, or Everton. But Arsenal, typical Arsenal.
To be fair, Chelsea and Liverpool, when it comes to selling players we don't want, we seem to get more than we should.
Exactly. That's
weird.
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You seem to dictate when you guys are selling someone. You guys appear to me to be in the driving seat. You're directing the sale and what's happening.
I remember when we sold Costa. When Costa wanted to leave, he said the only club he will go to is Atletico Madrid, and Atletico wanted to buy him, and we should have had no power in the negotiation whatsoever. Yet we got the maximum value for him. Didn't make sense.
I like that. I like the club having the power.
Yeah,
you don't see that.
Just say, just quickly, can't today. Just asked him to come on, and he said he can't today. Big ups, you Steve, mate. Fighting your cause, mate, and hope your health stays good. Thank you very much, Dan. That means a lot to me and the channel. But yeah, Wayne, give me your thoughts on this. Oh, it's got headphones on. Give me your thoughts to this.
I just don't know what you were talking about.
You should have headphones in, mate.
No, I can hear what you're saying, but I was like watching the Schalke game at the same time. Not Schalke game, Shakhtar Donetsk.
He's on Pornhub, isn't he? I know that.
Yeah.
yeah.
Why he went out the room?
Wait, what are you talking about? I don't know what that is.
My fans.
Mr. Fury, go on. You've been hearing all this.
How's it, mate?
Yeah, you've been hearing all this. What's your thoughts on it?
My thoughts on what?
On what Stan and Prime have just been saying.
Oh, basically, like for example, we got 40 million for Extroadinary, so we got money at our club. So we use that money and top up by 5 million or 10 million. That's perfect. It's done.
I think
but
that's
we
what you
always.
I think that's what you know when you signed Pepe, what was do you guys know what the fee was in terms of how much you had to pay?
72 million, and I think it was about 24 million.
20 million a year.
So
yeah.
24 million
a year.
To me, it looked like sold Iwobi to finance Pepe.
Wow.
Yeah, to put down a deposit.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like to me. And it was just a thing.
Totally reviews. I think Arsenal need a centre backs and a CAM. Yeah, well, we got one, but he doesn't turn up.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll put that one to bed straight away. Right, and we know what we should do to him.
What do you guys do with Ozil? Do you buy out his contract or let it run out?
Buy out.
Look, if I was the manager, I'd be knocking on the door down on the Senelli's door every day. So why ain't he gone? Why ain't he gone? Why ain't he gone?
Well, you can't sell him because so how much?
You take the hit.
He's got a year left.
Yeah.
So how much would that
18.2 million.
18 million.
2.2. Yeah, 18 million.
That's how much you need to buy out his contract, would it?
That's how much his contract is without any add-ons. That's his base salary for the next year. It's 18 million pounds.
So how much would you have to pay to buy him out?
18 million pounds. Overall, he won't take a penny less, right?
No, but doesn't that cut into his doesn't that cut into your transfer budget then?
Yeah, but what you do is, I think, is you don't just walk up to him and say, "Here's a briefcase with 18 million pounds." Now get out. You just let him go. And I think Mesut would love the briefcase though. But I think what you do is each month, whether he gets paid monthly or quarterly, he leaves and you just keep paying him each payday. You know what I mean? Until it's done.
He wants it all in a lump sum. He's not going to want that.
Well, I don't know how it works. I mean, you know, some people, when you're in an industrial dispute, you know, you can get put on gardening leave, and until your contract is down, you're at home, but you get paid every month. You can't just get it in a lump sum.
No, we should use it. Well, no, we should use his contract to see if he can win the FIFA competitions. This is on PS4 every night.
Yeah, he plays Fortnite, so I don't think it's the best.
Yeah, see if he can win it. You see if we can pay 350 grand to see if he wins Fortnite.
The other option is that you find a club, and if a club says, "Oh yeah, we'd love to take Mesut over here in Turkey, but we can only afford to pay him 50 grand a week," then we have to pay the other 300, and Mesut has to agree and want to go to this other club. So he's in the driving seat. And as much as I dislike Mesut Ozil, and a lot of you guys here have never met me before. If you see me in another podcast, you know that I'm not a fan of Mesut Ozil in the slightest at all. I've got a street party here ready for when he leaves. I'm organising a street party. But we paid him that contract. That was our mistake. That wasn't Mesut's fault. So
that was panicking because we just lost Sanchez. Right, and they were panicking because we were going to lose Ozil at the same time because they let the contracts run down to about 6 months left. Right, so they said, "We'll give you what you want. Just make sure you sign."
Something I want to bring up is, was it last summer that one of your board members or something said that they're not going to let a player's contract get to 1 year, that once it gets to the last two.
This is what we've said. This is what I said earlier.
Well, my point is, though, if it gets to, if they're not signing in 2 years, then they're sold. Why wasn't it?
That's what I'm saying. I said that earlier. Is that they said to us, right, 2 years, and we'll make a decision whether they get sold or they stay, right? And they've let Aubameyang's run to a year before they've decided, we're going to offer him a new contract. So you don't believe anything they say. It's just as bad as what the previous regime said.
You guys have accepted them selling Aubameyang.
I think they were probably thinking about selling Aubameyang because of his age.
No, but as a fan base, would you have accepted them selling Aubameyang?
No.
If he didn't want to sign, if he didn't want to re-sign, then we can't just keep him and let it run down because we ain't got the money.
Well, if he wanted to go, then but if he wanted to stay, if he didn't mind, no.
It doesn't seem like he wants to sign now.
No, he's signing. That's happening.
You know,
I think it
will eventually happen, but it looks like he's still trying to hold out for a club to buy it. But the thing is, there's no club in Europe right now that needs a striker. No top club in Europe anyway that needs a striker.
I just think that if we didn't sign him, it's who you got to replace him with, to be honest.
Well, you got Martinelli.
Yeah, but that you can't put. It's like you said earlier when we said we'd buy Willian. You can't put too much pressure on.
Yeah,
that'd be too much pressure on Martinelli.
That's why you have Willian and Coutinho coming in.
Yeah, I think Aubameyang stays, and Lacazette will be the one that will be leaving.
Coutinho is a decent signing on loan for yours, including with Willian. Much more creativity there when without Ozil. And Premier League Reviews says, I think the lad called Metis Pereira from West Brom is a good replacement for Ozil.
No.
I don't know whether he was having a laugh or not.
He's kind of the
same. Willian.
Yeah, he's kind of the same as when people were saying Maddison should replace Ozil. No, those players aren't good enough at the moment.
Still 60 minutes in. Wolves and Seville are still 0-0 at the minute. And again, this looks like it could go to extra time.
Yeah.
So, so it
who would you guys
looks like they cancelled each other out.
Have you guys had beaten Olympiacos? Who would you?
Say again, I didn't catch you.
If you guys had beaten Olympiacos, who would you guys have played? And who would you?
We would have played Wolves and Seville.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I think didn't Wolves play Wolves got Olympiacos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we would have got Wolves Yeah, we would be playing Seville by now if we've got past Wolves.
Wolves. Yeah, then Seville, yeah.
But did Sheffield United get Europe for football this season? Or did they miss out?
I think they missed out.
Missed out.
I think it might have been because I think you guys won the FA Cup. I think maybe that's why they missed out.
No, I think that was Wolves, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was Wolves that we've kept out, and because of that now, Tottenham have to play qualification games as well for the Europa League.
Yeah.
Actually,
Seville nearly had a chance to score.
I think Spurs will win the Europa League next season.
No!
Hell no.
No, I'm not. No banter. I actually think they will.
No way.
I don't know if you guys know. I am a Chelsea fan, but I'm an unbiased fan, so I'll look at things without my Chelsea glasses on. I think they could win it. I see no reason why they can't, to be honest. Because they have a winner, and that's the only thing that's missing really from their team, that winning mentality.
Wouldn't it be crazy if it was an Arsenal Tottenham final?
Oh, that'd be excellent. I love that. That'd be brilliant.
We have to make sure we win.
Yeah.
Oh, how were you guys feeling last season where playing us in the Europa League and then Spurs in the Champions League final?
I was shitting myself.
Really? What were your thoughts? Because Arsenal fans were saying, I take losing the final if it means Spurs lose as well. So what were your thoughts?
I didn't think they were going to get there. I didn't think
when they gave away a penalty in 30 seconds, I was like, there is a Lord.
Of course, because I can.
Like, I would have using the way we did, and then Tottenham winning the Champions League.
To be honest, I would have been okay with them winning the Championship.
But serious, but you guys are rivals. Chelsea and Tottenham, you're rivals.
The thing is,
hell no.
The thing is, they still can't talk to me because Chelsea have done everything before them. And it doesn't affect me; it affects Arsenal fans, and that is what I wanted to see on Twitter, the meltdown. I'm on it. That's why I just want to see that meltdown.
It's like I said the other day, they've won one honour. That's one honour. Right?
Yeah, but
despite it being Champions League and everything, it's one honour. Right?
Yeah, but you haven't done.
Yeah, but they haven't gone and won 13 on titles, 14 on FA Cups.
It doesn't matter. They'd still be champions of Europe. It's like Liverpool now winning the Premier League. It's only one, but they've won the Premier League. There could be no more banter towards them for not winning it. Spurs winning the Champions League, especially something you guys haven't done. That's it.
No,
I'm sorry. That still wouldn't make a bigger club to me.
No. I didn't say no. My point is, it would be Champions League, something you guys haven't done. Like I think Arsenal fans accepted that Chelsea would eventually win the Champions League, and we did. But for Spurs to win it,
hell no.
I think I would have been. I think my illness would have got worse.
Yeah, hell no.
To be honest, I'd come to accept it, and I was like, if it happens, it happens.
Right, Steve, I'm going to have to withdraw now because I only had an hour this afternoon. We're almost at an hour and a half, and I've really enjoyed talking to you and meeting these gentlemen from Chelsea as well. I often don't get a chance to talk to fans from other clubs, hear what their thoughts are about Arsenal and get to ask them questions about their club. So I enjoyed that, and hopefully you'll invite me back again.
That's the thing. I mean, this channel is not just like a children's liver disease sort of channel. It's not just also an Arsenal channel. It's just talking about what we love, football, and that's
it was nice talking to you. Nice meeting you. Actually, can I just ask a question?
Yeah.
All right. I'm not going to ask who's the bigger club because everyone always has Arsenal. But what would it take for Chelsea to be bigger than Arsenal? Because that's a question that doesn't get asked a lot, and I would like to know what it would take. Because with everything we've done thus far, and Arsenal are still bigger, fine. But what would it take? What would Chelsea have to do?
I would have to go as far as say that in my own opinion, and my own unbiased opinion, I would say that Chelsea is already a very big football club.
No, but I mean, I'd say bigger than Arsenal. Though,
I wouldn't necessarily say right now that Arsenal is bigger than Chelsea or Chelsea is hugely bigger than Arsenal. I don't think there's really a lot in it, and I think that if in the trajectory that Chelsea's going in, you're only going to continue to get bigger. I mean, the way that you spend your money. I mean, you've already got good players waiting in the wings already for next season. It's all done and dusted. You know, they're already in London. They're already getting settled in. You know, for Arsenal, I feel at the moment that we're kind of living on a past reputation. We are a big club. We've got a fantastic history, but it's only going to last so long. It's like what they say in sales, right? You're only as good as your last deal. Do you know what I mean? Your manager's going to give you grief after a couple of months. You're not bringing any sales in. You can't keep talking about that one big deal that you brought in 1998. That big one that you brought in. It don't work like that. But I think for Arsenal, if we still want to be considered a big club and be spoken about in that conversation, then we need to get up off of our arses and start doing some of the things that I see happening at clubs like Chelsea, that I see happening at clubs like Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? Where I can see what they're planning. I can see what it is that they're trying to do and how they're trying to make themselves better. Whereas with Arsenal, sometimes it just looks like they're constantly putting plasters over cracks. Do you know what I mean? In players like Lipton, I mean, what the fuck was that all about? I mean, you know what I mean? We're throwing so much shit at the wall at the moment, and we're saying, well, one piece of shit is bound to stick on the wall at some point. But that's not how a big club with big aspirations should be moving forward, because I don't see Chelsea doing that. When I see Chelsea make a move, it looks thought out and it looks calculated. Yes, mistakes are going to be made. Your goalkeeper, for example, spent a lot of money on him. It hasn't quite worked out. But nobody is perfect. Yeah, but there will be bad signings. But the bigger picture, when Chelsea make a move, it looks methodical. It looks like it's been planned. It's part of something. It's not been a knee-jerk reaction, and that's what I see happening at Arsenal. And I'll give you one example. When we brought in Sven Mislintat to look after our coaching and scouting side of things, his first suggestion was to get rid of a lot of our coaches and to streamline it. And so that was his recommendation, and our board turned around and said, no, we're not going to do that. So what I don't understand is you bring in a specialist, you ask him for his recommendations in that field, he tells you, you listen, you say no, you get rid of that person, you get him out of the club, and then a year later, you do exactly what he recommended to do in the first place. Like, get rid of him.
You know what, Stan, do you know what it's like, right? It's what I have to put up with most of the time when I go to hospital, right? Is that I get doctors telling me that it's this, right? I know better, right? So you've been doing it for 25 years and you're expert in your own case, right? And in the end, they end up doing what you suggested in the first place. And it turns out to be the right move, right? And I sit there like that. Why don't you listen? Right? You're going full guns blazing, not listening. And then when you screw it up, you then turn to the one person who actually knows what's going on.
Yeah.
But that's just putting it in sort of my sort of perspective.
Yeah, and it is in a similar vein, you know. So it is in a similar vein. Can't keep making knee-jerk reactions every time something doesn't go to plan. And Mikel Arteta keeps telling us as well. As much as I love Mikel Arteta, I don't know how many more times I can hear him say the phrase, "We have a clear plan," or "We have a plan and it's clear." That he keeps telling us that, but he won't tell us what the fucking clear plan is. It's clear. They've got a plan. All I know is that he's got a plan. And not only has he got a plan, it is clear. But he won't tell us what it is. He won't. It's a big secret. So, I don't know. I love Mikel Arteta. I'm glad he's our manager. But, you know, I want a little bit more transparency. I want to know what his remit is. I want to know if he can say, I don't want to sell this player, this young player. Or I want to know if he can say, I want this player to come in. Or whether he just has to work with what he's being provided with. It's unclear to me what his remit is. And I'd like to know that.
Yeah.
Because he wants to keep Niles, but also to sell him.
See, the thing with AMN, though, White Fury, is the player himself says that he wants to. See, this is what I'm confused about. The player comes out and says, I don't like playing at right back. That's Emery. Arteta comes in, he starts to play in that position. He looks happier, but he did come out and say, in order for him, he feels for his career to progress, he needs to go away from Arsenal and play every week somewhere else. He had a big smile on his face when we won the FA Cup, but I've not heard the player turn around and say, you know what, I've changed my mind, I'm happy here, I want to be part of this. He hasn't said that. So I've heard the manager say, I want to keep the player, but then I've heard the club say, no, we've told the player that he's up for sale. So it's all confusing. Whose direction are we following? The players, the managers, or the clubs?
Yeah.
So I don't know who's in control. I don't know if AMN wants to stay. He's had a U-turn, or whether the club are saying, well, we've got 3 clubs that are interested in him. Let's make money on him. Sorry, Mikel. You know, you don't get a say in that area. I don't know who's kind of like calling the shots for certain areas of the club. I don't understand it. But anyway, I've gone on for too long today. I've got to nip off because Mrs. Stan's got some chores for me to do this afternoon. So really nice to talk to you all. And Steve, if you want me to come on again, I look forward to speaking to you again in the future, mate.
Yeah, anytime, mate. Anytime. Thanks.
Take care, lad.
Stan,
Take care.
Is that your Twitter? Is that your Twitter? Yeah,
that's me. Stan_the_man68. I'll hit you guys up as well. Nice to meet you all.
Nice to meet you.
Okay.
Take care. Yeah, it's
oh yeah, it's 3-0 Shakhtar Donetsk, by the way.
3-0 Shakhtar Donetsk, is it? It's still 0-0 here against the Seville Wolves.
Yeah.
It's still 0-0. It just doesn't feel there's many clear-cut chances in this game. Seville look very more dominant in this half. So, but just gone out wide. It's a crap ball in. But yeah, so I don't usually half believe these days what comes out of Arsenal. Right.
True.
The only thing I believe is when someone actually signed for the club.
And even then, you never know what can happen.
Well, yeah, and I've seen so many times where these players said the deal's going through, and all the summer it's gone. They're saying this is going to happen, and then right at the last minute, we don't bother paying an extra £1 million or something, and it all falls apart.
It's wild.
So, I don't believe half the stuff that comes out of Arsenal anymore. It's like Stan said, there's no transparency. We just have to, and it's like you said, that Arteta's working with what he's got, and sometimes, even though he's the football person in this, he doesn't get a say in some decisions. Wayne, what's your thoughts on this in terms of transparency between the club and the fan base?
Well, I don't really have much to say on that because I don't really know that much that's going on. But
have you ever seen clear examples with Chelsea where they've not been transparent?
Like with the board and like sometimes with like other managers that we've had that they don't back the manager, but like with Frank, I think they're trying to back him now because he's one of our own like legends. But see what Stan's saying, like what was been going on and like how they haven't been able to get their transfers that they want. But yeah, we'll see what happens. It might change.
Just a free kick from Seville, just been tipped over the bar. Keep had it covered. Corner. So, but do you know what? To be honest, lads, right? I'd love to keep this going, but I am absolutely knackered. Some days I'm on top of the world and I'm flying high. Usually after an infusion on a Friday. But some days I'm just absolutely whacked.
Yeah.
Depends what day it is, really. So I'm going to call it a day.
Yeah. Before you go, what did you think of the 70th anniversary of the F1?
F1, yeah.
Oh, I haven't done a review. Yeah. I'll quickly touch on that. Yes. Fair play to Red Bull and Verstappen. Obviously, they've got. I always had a suspicion feeling with the weather that Red Bull would have a faster car. They did it in Austria last year, and Mercedes have never acted on their cooling issues since 2014. But it's Mercedes built a car that can do multiple Grand Prix wins. And unfortunately, Red Bull and Ferrari have been building cars that can do one or two races. So I don't expect that to mean that there's going to be a serious challenge. I still think it'd be Mercedes up front for the next race, unless it's really, really hot again. But the softer tyres really sort of played a part, because I did think at one point that Red Bull were running under pressure than they should have been, because you get tyre pressures that they have to stick to, and for safety. And I'm wondering if they're running under, because if you're under, you less heat, so that means you don't blister the tyre. And yet, compared to the Mercedes, they did 10 laps, and you could see half the tyre turning off. But yeah, it's you got to take it on the chin, but at least he won a British one, so. True. And he's still ahead, quite clear in the championship. So, my opinion hasn't changed. I still think it's going to be Hamilton for a 7th title. So,
yeah.
But like I said, I'm going to call it a day now.
Equal Schumacher's like podium places.
Yeah, he did.
55.
I didn't like the media, like they try to make a fact that they tried to screw Bottas with his strategy. It was just one of those that they called at time sort of thing, and that they were favouring Hamilton. I don't get that at all. So, because if they were favouring Hamilton, they would have told him to move over, right, and let him catch Verstappen. So, but yeah, he's matched his record. He'll probably break it in the next race. He'll probably break his win record, and he's probably going to equal his 7th title record this season as well. So,
matches with Schumacher.
Yeah, for 7, and then he'll go for 8 for the next one. So, But yeah, like I said, Prime, do you have anything you want to say to anyone in the chat before we go?
Not really. I appreciate you, Stephen, for having me on. This is the 2nd time I've been on, 3rd time. And I've loved it every time I come on, man. It's always great conversations, and anytime you need me, come on for anything. I'm always there.
That means a lot, mate. Thanks. Anthony, the game's still going. It's still 0-0. Unfortunately, I'm just getting really tired, so I can't keep going any longer. So, Wayne, anything else you want to say?
No, pleasure as always. Like, second time I've been on, but I've enjoyed it. Like, I haven't got bored or anything. I mean, like, I've only just gone like back out because it's quite hot in this room. Like, so I don't want to keep sweating like my head off. So I don't think people want to see that. So I keep leaving the room, drinking a lot of water as well.
Yeah, I think that's key. You've got to keep the fluids up. So
yeah.
Ice. That was literally a block of ice about an hour and a half ago. It's mad. So thank you, Urban Ghost. Fury, anything you want to say, add, promote, whatever?
It has been a pleasure. Thank you, lads. It's been a pleasure.
No worries.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to call it a day, guys. Remember, smash a like on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. If you follow the link to the CLDF channels in the video descriptions to the CLDF channel and give them a follow as well. And yeah, my socials are also in the description as well. So yeah, thanks for everyone for tuning in. Thanks for you lot for coming on, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.